Hi Nature Together friends, I'm back with another story today, actually 2 stories. But before we get into our stories, I always have to say hi to friends, and today I want to say hi to Rory and Crew, Gemma and Jules, hello, and also Aiden and Ethan. Hi boys, thank you all for watching. I love hearing from all of you. So like I said, we have 2 stories today. The first one is going to be read by Miss Teresa, and our theme today is rabbits. So I'm going to turn it over to her so she can read the first story, and then I'll be back for the second. All right, here we go.
Hi Nature Together friends, it's Miss Teresa, and I wanted to share a story with you today. It's one of my favorite stories. 2 reasons why. One, it's about rabbits, and you guys know that rabbits are one of my favorite animals. And it's also about working in the garden and growing things. So this is called Muncha, Muncha, Muncha by Candace Fleming, and the pictures are drawn by G. Brian Karras. For years, Mr. McGreely dreamed of planting a garden. He dreamed of getting his hands dirty, of growing yummy vegetables, and of gobbling them all up. But he never once tried it, until. This spring, said Mr. McGreely, this spring, by golly, I'm going to plant a garden. So he hoed and he sowed, and he watched his garden grow. Lettuce, carrots, peas, tomatoes. Yum, yum, yummy, said Mr. McGreely. I'll soon fill my tummy with crisp, fresh veggies. But one night, when the sun went down and the moon came up, tippy, 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 pat, muncha, muncha, muncha. The next morning, when Mr. McGreely saw his gnawed sprouts, he was angry. So he built a small wire fence all around his vegetable garden. There, he declared, no bunny can get into my garden now. And the sun went down, and the moon came up. Tippy, 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 pat. Spring hurdle, dash, dash, dash. Muncha, muncha, muncha. The next morning, when Mr. McGreely saw his nibbled leaves and gnawed sprouts, he was really angry. So he built a tall wooden wall behind the small wire fence all around his vegetable garden. He huffed. Those flop ears will never get over it. No bunny can get into my garden now. See the bunnies? They're watching him. And the sun went down, and the moon came up. Tippy, 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 pat, dig, scrabble, scratch, 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 spring, hurdle, dash, 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 muncha, muncha, muncha. The next morning, when Mr. McGreely saw his chewed stems, his nibbled leaves, and his gnawed sprouts, he was really, really angry. So he made a deep, wet trench beside the tall wooden wall behind the small wire fence all around his vegetable garden. Ha! He snorted. Those pufftails can't get under it. They can't get over it. No bunny can get into my garden now. And the sun went down, and the moon came up, and dive, paddle, splash, 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 dig, scrabble, scratch, 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 spring, hurdle, dash, 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 muncha, muncha, muncha. The next morning, when Mr. McGreely saw his chomped blossoms, his chewed stems, his nibbled leaves, and his gnawed sprouts, he was furious. So he hammered and blocked and sawed and stocked, drilled and filled and trapped and locked, and he built a huge, enormous thing. Before the deep wet trench, outside the tall wooden wall, behind the small wire fence, all around his vegetable garden, I've outsmarted those twitch whiskers for sure, he exclaimed. They can't get through it. They can't get under it. And they can't get over it. No bunny, no how, no way can get into my vegetable garden now. You think that's gonna do it? And the sun went down, and the moon came up. Tippy, tippy, tippy. Stop. The 3 hungry bunnies looked and smelled and touched the enormous thing. And, tippy, 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 pat, the bunnies hopped away. The next morning when Mr. McGreely saw his untouched vegetables, he was happy. I beat the bunnies, he whooped, and he did a jiggly-wiggly victory dance. Then he climbed over, jumped across, squeezed between, and crawled under until he reached his vegetable garden. Ah, said Mr. McGreely, at last. Smacking his lips, he picked and pulled up lettuce, carrots, peas, tomatoes, and with his basket overflowing, he reached inside for something yummy. Muncha, muncha, muncha. It looks like Mr. McGreely is going to have to learn how to share. I hope you enjoyed that story. I love that story because, again, I love bunnies, and I see bunnies in my yard. In fact, I have a video of one that I saw earlier. I love watching them eat. I love watching them the way they nibble grass with their mouths. And if bunnies come in my yard and they eat my vegetables, I don't mind. Thanks, and I hope that I get to see you guys sometime soon and that you're having fun outdoors. And I'll read you another story again real soon. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you, Miss Teresa. I loved your story of Muncha, Muncha, Muncha. Speaking of bunnies that are naughty and eat people's gardens, I need to show you what our resident rabbit does to our garden. I'm going to show you that now. So these are our 2 garden beds, and you can see we have some things growing, but you can also see these. Do you remember in the past video where Avery and Xavier showed you their little sprouts that they started? Well, we planted these in our bed. All of these were buried and they were all dug up. Hi, Daisy. And a lot of our pea shoots over here, we had pea shoots all along here, and there's one left, but the rest were nibbled. And I guess that happens. So we'll try again. But you can see we'd still have some things growing here that hasn't been nibbled, but we've thought about maybe putting a little fence around it, but it could be like Muncha, Muncha, Muncha where the rabbits get in. You never know. We're not upset that the bunnies did that. We're gonna keep planting though and keep trying, and hopefully they'll eventually stop eating our garden. We'll see. And speaking of gardens, I have a little friend, Rose, who sent a picture of her and her sister standing by their new garden bed. Here it is. So if you have a picture of your garden that you'd like to share with us and show your friends, you can send it to me at Chris, K-R-I-S, at Explore Nature Together. If you have other pictures of some of the activities you've done that you'd like me to share, you can send those too. We love hearing from you. Okay, so that leads us to our next story. It's going along with our bunny theme. It's called Brown Rabbit Shape Book by Alan Baker. This was one of my kids' favorite stories when they were little. Brown Rabbit's Shape Book. One day, a package arrived for Brown Rabbit. It had bright red triangles on the wrapping paper. The card was the shape of a rectangle. It said, "To Brown Rabbit." Rabbit took off the paper. Underneath was a square box, and Rabbit lifted the lid. Inside was a tube with a circle-shaped top. Out tumbled 5 flat, floppy balloons, all different colors. Lovely balloons, just waiting to be blown up. Rabbit blew up the red balloon. It was big and round like a ball. Whoosh! Away it flew. The orange balloon was oval-shaped like an egg. Whoosh! Away it flew. The green balloon was long and sausage-shaped. Rabbit couldn't hold it. Whoosh! Away it flew. The purple balloon was smaller and shaped like a pear. One more puff, thought Rabbit, then bang! It burst. The last balloon was all colors, long and curly-whirly. Whoosh! Blast off! Goodbye, balloon shapes. I'm all out of puff, thought Rabbit. He tidied up the balloons, the tube, the box, and the paper. Then Rabbit-shaped Rabbit fell fast asleep on top. The end. Isn't that a cute story? So, since we're talking about bunnies and the shapes, I thought maybe you could go outside and look for some bunnies and also go on a shape hunt. So, this is my sheet for you today. It has all the different shapes that we saw in the book, including some harder ones. Do you remember when Bunny got the tube that the balloons fell out of? That's called a cylinder. And the box is actually called a cube. So I included those on here. So what outside might be shaped like those? And if you can't find those, it's okay. This is just something fun for you to do and to keep you busy outside. So there's squares, rectangles, triangles, circles, and ovals too. So I know right now, looking outside, my garden bed, the top of it is a rectangle. What do you have outside that's shaped like a rectangle? So this will be on my link below in my OneDrive box. And all the other activities that I've done is in that folder. You can print them off when you're ready, okay? And I think that's it for today. I'll be back with one more story tomorrow. And I hope to hear from you. You can always comment below and let me know if you want me to say hi. All right. Bye, friends.